in the polls. The latest one shows Labor back up to 32 and National on 35. And if you look at the minor parties, looks like they're all adding up to about 60 seats for National and ACT and 59 roughly for Māori, Labor and Greens. So it's going to be really tight, and what we could end up with is a hung parliament. So that's probably what I've been thinking about, is just how close it is.
Oh, wow. I've been thinking about that the last couple of days. It's been really interesting, eh? And so our PMN News senior reporter, Kalia Strong, she wrote a very interesting piece about how new political parties are trying to win over Pacific voters. What do you think about all the jostling going on with these new parties trying to position themselves as the party of choice for our Pacific voters?
Yeah, it's really interesting because every election, the different smaller parties come out and say, things have got so bad and now is the time for us, for small parties to come through. And then every election, they never quite manage to do it. And so I can't help feeling like a bit of deja vu. I was talking to Opito over the weekend, given he's retiring soon, and he was talking about how the Pacific Party, which was started by Taito Philip Field in 2007, came up, and that was at a time when we just had the debates around gay marriage and the smacking law, and so everyone at that time was saying, now is the time for Pacific people to get in behind a new party. And then, I think they only got like 1% of the vote. So people keep saying, oh, this is the time, things have got so bad and it's time for us to vote differently. But I think at the end of the day, people vote with their back pockets in mind. And they're going to vote on which party gives them the best deal when it comes to shopping and housing and those sort of things. And so, that's what it'll come down to.
Yeah, a lot of carrot dangling, eh?
Yeah.
And so parties continue to release their policies in an attempt to win over our voters, over voters. Was there a particular policy that drew your attention as a potential vote winner over the last week?
I think the policy that I liked the most, but I don't think it'll win many votes, was New Zealand First wants to hold a referendum on bringing in a 4-year term. And I think that's actually a really good idea. What happens is a party comes in, they have 1 year, sort of like a honeymoon, where they bring in a whole bunch of ideas, and then everyone starts complaining, and then they pull back from those ideas, and then they spend the last year of their time in power just trying to win again. And so we have this really tight election cycle, and if we had a 4-year term for our politicians, I think we might see some more meaningful change. And a good example is the GST policy that's just announced isn't probably the best policy from a tax point of view. There's been like all these tax experts saying it's so complicated, it's going to be a real hassle. But then something like a wealth tax or the capital gains tax are policies that all the tax experts really like, but none of the public want to support. And so you have this weird thing in New Zealand where things that are popular don't always make sense to tax experts, but things that are unpopular, everyone in the public likes. So I think that's partly because we have these short political terms, and so people just parties just play to the popular rather than what's maybe practical or what will work best. So, there's a lot there.
There's a lot there indeed. Oh, wow. And finally, your weekly PMN News column on the beat referred to the classic track by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, The Message. That's what all the political parties are trying to do, get their message out to the voting public. How are they doing, and who are the winners and losers?
Well, I think, it's interesting because it feels like Labor's in the news a lot. They've certainly got a lot of policies they're throwing out at the public, and so that's probably giving them a lot of chance to get their message across. And National seems to me, like a little bit quiet in terms of policies. They've announced a few, but they haven't really announced anything really big. And I just wonder whether they're just keeping their stocks dry, or whatever, their tinder dry. I don't know what's the analogy there, but they're just obviously holding back some big announcements, and And so when they do, then I'm sure their message will get a bit more stronger. Because at the moment, a lot of what they're doing is just criticising whatever Labour puts out. So it'll be interesting as we get closer. We'll start to see the two parties firm up about who they are and what they're about. But at the moment, I think Labour's got a lot of drama, but they're also trying really hard to change the narrative and show that they've got a bunch of new, fresh ideas. And even though some of those ideas maybe people don't agree with, they're getting a lot of airtime, and that is what elections are all about. Trying to get yourself airtime, like what you guys are doing. You guys could run for power because you're on air so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
But yeah,
there you go,
there
Marlo.
you go. We could start the Nemai and Marlo party.
Oh,
And who knows?
No, thank you.
Who knows?
All right.
Maybe
I
it's,
leave that for Nima. She loves politics.
oh my.
it's your time, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. Yeah, but that's and also just if you want to read our columns, we've got a lot of political coverage coming up. We've got so make sure you check out pmm.co.nz, and there's not only my column, but there's Tōlofa also writes a regular piece on the policies that are coming out and the news that's coming out. So make sure you check out our coverage.
Right, and give us the website again, please, Justin.
pmm.co.nz.
PMN.co.nz. That's where we can find your column and all the other PMN news stories on the election, eh?
Absolutely.
PMN.co.nz. Justin, Vinaka Vakalevo, thank you for your time this morning.